Appreciate everybody coming. Appreciate those of you guys that tuned in this morning and watched our signing day show. Really a great day for us. A day that as we enter our third year, here recruiting, our third recruiting class, and it's a fun time for us as we welcome 19. I think now it's actually 20. We just got, just as an administrative note, Tyre Wilson just got his letter into us. So 20 young men to come play football at Temple. So I'll give you guys a minute to write that down if you need to. I was thinking, people always ask you sort of in recruiting, did you have a good class? And the jury's always probably out for a couple of years. But the one thing I'll say, because I've been involved in every recruiting class at Temple, even in my time away, I was there kind of at signing day and came back for signing day. And every signing day class at Temple for 9 years. Why this class is so special. And I just started thinking about the kids that we signed. And this is a special group, and they're really sort of a Temple group. We've read a lot about Kareem Ali, being a Temple baby, having an opportunity to go anywhere, in the country, really, and deciding that he can make his mark right here where his father and mother went to school. But as I kind of look at the class, there's a lot of trash being talked. There's a lot of things being said, and even in Pennsylvania, among some of the schools in Pennsylvania, negative recruiting this, who owns the state, who owns that. It was just really nice getting to know these kids, and it was just really nice to kind of be involved in recruiting being done the right way. I mean, there's a lot of people, saying things, they come into Philadelphia, say things about Temple, say things about Philadelphia, and these are kids that wanted to be here. I mean, they're proud of the fact that they're going to come play football and get an education at Temple, and that's really what I'm excited about. This class, is sort of pays homage to the way we recruited under Al Golden. 13 of the 19 kids came to our camp. So 13 of the 19 kids paid money to come go to football camp here at Temple. They walked up. They ate at Johnson and Hardwick. They walked around campus, and in the end, they decided they wanted to go to school here. And then at the same time, we also have kids from, 9 different states, Rich? 9 different states, as far as, Seattle, Washington. And the one thing I'm learning is, that Temple T, it really travels well. It did last year, and it does again this year. As we go on the road to recruit in different time zones and different states, I got to make sure everyone understands this. Temple University and Temple football is well respected. We are not a Tier 2 football program. We are a program that people are seeing on TV. They've seen go to bowl games. They've seen beat top 25 teams. They've seen our players go to the NFL. They see the way that we do things, and people have interest. We don't get them all, but the guys that we got we're proud of. These guys had options. They could have gone different places. Even as of late last night, early this morning, guys still had options and were still making decisions. But the ones that chose to sign with us today, it's really, really fun to be a part of recruiting them. Some of you guys might, follow me on Twitter. We have a saying, we say OOU, which is something that Al started. I think he got it from Bill Belichick, and it means one of us. And that's not just one of us as in Matt Rhule, Fran Brown, Mike Saravo. It's one of us in being, Temple made, being a Temple person. And, the way we recruit might be a little different. We bring people in and we show them what we have. We walk them around campus. We make sure that they meet professors. I mean, we might be one of the only schools in the country whose president has met with a recruit, whose athletic director meets with recruits, whose deputy athletic director meets with recruits, who deans of programs, who professors, they sit down and meet with our recruits when we ask. And we want to make sure people understand who and what we are and what's so special about us. And I think you see that, kind of culminating today in our recruiting class. I know a lot of guys are going to ask about, I think we have 3 4-star guys that we signed for the first time ever. And I'll just say this, we are equally proud of all the kids that we signed because we know not only can they play, but they're going to thrive here. So with that, I'll see if you guys have any questions, but before I do, I just I mentioned a bunch of people there. I just want to make sure I once again thank from the board of trustees to our president, Neil Theobald, to our athletic director Kevin Clark, deputy athletic director Pat Kraft. This has been a team effort to get these guys on board, and I'm proud of what we've done. So with that, I'll see if you guys have any questions. So the one thing we do is we promise guys that we're going to give them an opportunity to play early, right? So some guys' impact might be immediate. Some guys' impact might just be on special teams. I think we have a good team coming back, especially on defense. I think we have a lot of guys returning on defense. Really, only Anthony Roby was the only guy who graduated. on offense, you know, we're hoping that maybe we can find an impact player, a skill position player that can come in and you know, challenge for playing time and challenge to make some plays. So if we have a great program, all the freshmen aren't playing. You know, they're kind of sitting and waiting their turn. But I think there's some guys there that might have a chance to get us over the hump.
Three different running backs, but they all kind of have a different style. Just talk about what they bring to the team.
Well, I'll talk first about, you know, Rhule Armstead. And, you know, recruiting Rhule reminds me of when we recruited Bernard Pierce. You know, Bernard was a local kid, a little bit under the radar, came to camp, ran extremely fast, was really competitive, and that's what Rhule is. I think at one point last year he was in the 55. He was one of the fast, or 60. I'm not a track guy, as you can probably tell, so I don't know much about the different distances. But he was the fastest kid in New Jersey at 210 pounds. Came to our camp, ran 4.4, really competitive. He's already graduated from high school, so he's an achiever academically. And as we go out and we look at all the backs that are committed to guys in our conferences and to the people even in the Northeast, we expect him to play and expect him to play early. T.J. Simmons, a 4-star recruit out of Lakeland, a Christian, tremendous athlete. You know, as I went down there, you know, he's a hunter. He goes raccoon hunting. You know, I mean, so he's gonna just get adjusted to the city. But he loved it when he was here, and you know, he's heralded. He's fast. He's explosive. He's a big has a chance to be a big back. And then Jagger Gardner is, you know, a special talent. You know, we don't know what exactly he is yet. He's down in Black Mountain, just outside Asheville. And, you know, Fran Brown, Marcus Satterfield, and myself, we were all at Western Carolina, and some of our former players called us about him, and he chose us over some good people. And so he has a chance to be a 220, 230-pound running back. So we made a commitment to some bigger backs, hoping that we could, you know, we have some fast, dynamic kids, but hoping that we could get that big back we've been looking for.
One of your needs last year was offensive line. Did you talk about the team to recruiting?
Yeah, the first is Benson Israel. Out of St. Joe's Montvale, you know, where he plays for Augie Hoffman, who played offensive line at Boston College. And Benson came to camp, and we offered him, you know, not soon thereafter. I had the pleasure of working with and coaching Chris Snee when I was at the Giants, 5-time Pro Bowler, and he actually coached Benson during the season, and called me in the middle of the year and said he loved him. And if anybody knows Chris Snee, he doesn't like very many people. So when he said that, I take note of it. You know, Chris Snee's a tremendous football player, and he knows that Benson's special. So really excited about Benson. I think he has a chance to come in and compete early. A lot of times with offensive line, you have to develop him. I think Benson can play early. And then Jovan Fair is a kid out of Akron, first time really getting out into Ohio. And I talk about the Temple T traveling. While we were out there and walking through the guidance offices in Akron, Ohio at Firestone High School, and there's Temple T's on the wall and there's Temple pictures. So, you know, they had just, you know, our admissions office had materials out there. So it was a nice fit, a nice segue into going in there and recruiting. But Jovan's you know, a heavyweight wrestler. He's another kid that's 300 pounds. You know, he has to get himself down for wrestling, but really, really strong and physically developed. So we tried to go find 2 offensive linemen that we thought could play right away.
Talking about Temple T traveling, you got a kid out of Washington who's got a little bit of an NFL pedigree. Talk about that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, one of the great things that we've done over the last year was we hired Elijah Robinson, and I think you saw it on the field with the production of our defensive line. And it showed up in recruiting, whether it was, you know, Elijah recruiting down in Florida, getting T.J. Simmons, or going out to Washington to get Josiah. He played with Josiah's brother John at Penn State, and you know, a lot of the guys that Elijah tutored at Penn State come through here and work out. We had Tom Bahali in a couple weeks ago. Devin Still, as you know, he's courageously battling with his daughter. You know, she's at shop. You know, he was up here working out all summer with our guys as he was taking care of his daughter. So I think Elijah's really well respected, and John knew that you know, Elijah would take good care of him. And so his family came out, they checked us out, and while he had options to stay out there, he did what Jacob Martin did last year. He came across the country, and you know, we were going out to see them last Thursday, and they got, you know, had some issues in terms of the weather and all that, because their son was playing in the Super Bowl for the Seahawks. So both brothers played in the NFL at, you know, one point or another, and we think Josiah has unlimited potential just like his brothers. Well, you know, I think Colin Thompson, you know, we think he's going to be a really good player. We think Boozer's going to be a good player. He's developing. You know, he's about 260 pounds now, so he's getting big and strong. Both tight ends are, you know, they're going to have to develop physically, but they were outstanding at camp. You know, this was the first year we could let our own players work our camps. And to a man, when Jake Robinson came over here from Haddonfield, I think every kid on the team was like, I want to play with that guy. He was competitive, explosive, you know, just really really a good kid for us. It was awesome to have a kid from Haddonfield come across the bridge and say, you know what, I want to be at Temple. I thought that was a great statement for us. And, Roy Pugh's an interesting story. Kevin Nagandi actually called me one night. Everyone knows Kevin's, bleeds cherry and white and is as Temple-made as there is. And he called me and said, hey, I met this unbelievable kid at this academic banquet, great student, great speaker, just everything that, you would want to look for in an athlete. I don't know how good of a player he is, but he's an athlete. And so we got Roy to camp, and he runs track. His mother was on the U.S. basketball team. I mean, he's a true athlete. So I think both of those guys have tremendous upsides. It might take them a year or two, but I think they're going to be really good players for us. And then at wide receiver, we have a lot of guys coming back, a lot of guys we redshirted. It's an area we have to improve in. We think Cortrell is going to come in and give us some dynamic flexibility. Delvon Randall we signed last year, so he'll be here in the summer. So he's not on that paper because he didn't sign today, but he's bound to us because he signed last year. So Delvon can come in, and maybe we'll get a transfer or something else along the way as well. So.
Can you talk about kind of the anatomy of how things came together with TJ once he decommitted from UCLA, when you guys started recruiting him, and basically how you got it done to get him here?
So I think I mentioned this last year, but really we've made some inroads into Florida, and a big part of that's been Evan Cooper, who played here and was a GA here last year. Then we promoted him into an off the field role, and Evan just basically convinced me we needed to go down to Florida and start recruiting. So we made the decision to start down there and start looking. And TJ was committed, but he had a good relationship with Elijah, and as the season went on, he just kind of kept following us and stayed in touch with us. And at the end of the day, this is as much as anything else, it's about relationships. And Elijah did a great job. And as things came down the stretch, I think he saw an opportunity to come to Temple, to come to the fourth largest media market, to play at Lincoln Financial Field, to get this great education here at Temple, and said to himself, that's what I want to do. So, but it was really just Elijah doing a really nice job of staying in contact with him.
Are you most pleased that you got a lot of guys that had many options and good options? I mean, is that kind of what you take most pride in?
Like I said, I really believe that we trust ourselves evaluation-wise. I was telling the story earlier today, Tahir Whitehead, who I'm so proud of, who starts for the Detroit Lions, he got dropped by Monmouth the week before we took him at Temple. And 4 years later, without even redshirting, he's playing in the NFL. And Muhammad Wilkerson, it came down to us in Kent State, and Bernard Pierce, it came down to us in FCS schools. Didn't have another Division I offer. And 3-4 years later, these guys are NFL players. So I think at the end of the day, we trust our evaluation process. And when we find a guy we want, we go get him. What we see happen sometimes is with some of those guys like Raquel, we're his only offer. He says, I'm coming to Temple. Then he has a great senior year, and 4, 5, 6 schools come down and say, hey, we want you, forget about Temple. Come to us. And those kids are proud of coming to Temple. And so that's I'm probably as proud of that as much as anything, the fact that they wanted to be here. But I also like the fact that, recruiting is also about going out and getting the guys that can go anywhere. And my message is simple, and these guys are backing up my message, and it's this. You can come to Temple. You can play first-rate, top-flight Division I college football. You can play Penn State, play Notre Dame, play Cincinnati, play UCF, who's a top 25 team, play East Carolina. You can play the best of the best. You can get a world-class education. You can major in whatever you want. You can possibly get 2 degrees, which some of the guys on our team are leaving here on scholarship with not 1 but 2 degrees, with a master's degree. You can have a chance to go be Muhammad Wilkerson. If you're good enough, you can be a first-round draft pick. You can be a second-round draft pick. So you can do all those things. You can play at the highest level. You can go to bowl games. You can play in the NFL if you're capable. You can get a great education. You can live in this awesome city. And you don't have to go very far if you don't want to. And so Kareem Ali proved that, right? He said, you know what? Why do I need to go that far when I can just go right across the bridge and go to Temple? And so that's probably what I'm the most proud of.
Does this set up quite a challenge for jobs when you start camp?
Yeah, it's good. I think guys even recognize it right now. I think guys realize that we're not afraid to play freshmen. We brought Sean Chandler in last year at corner and played him as a true freshman. The year before, we played a bunch of true freshmen. We played Jacob Martin. So that's what we want, right? We don't want the coaches motivating the team. We want just the depth motivating the team. And now that you're playing 12, 13, 14 games a season in college football, you'd better have enough players, and so we learned that this year. We had a bunch of injuries, so I think it'll improve the culture of our team and also the depth.
What's the biggest difference from this year to the other 2 years with you and your staff and recruiting?
Just the fact that we've worked on these relationships for a long time. You know, the first year we kind of came in and caught our breath and went as fast as we could go, right? And the second year we kind of knew people, but this year now we've known these people for 2-3 years. You know, these are long relationships that we've built, not just with the, you know, maybe the prospect himself, but the coaches and the coaches in our areas. You know, I can't wait for next year. We're already starting on 2016 because there are people right here in the city that belong here, and you know, we've known them since they were freshmen and sophomores in high school. So it's just time, you know, it's just time, and that's the only way to build this thing for the long haul. And you know, I think people are starting to believe us. You know, when I walk in, when Phil Snow, when Fran, when Sat, when Elijah walks in, and we say, listen, we are not here at Temple to try to win some games. I mean, we are here to try to build a championship program and have it stand for a long time, because that's what this city and that's what this school is, right? That's what they deserve. And so when kids really start to feel like we mean that, then you know, then we have a chance. And I think they're starting to feel that now because we've been saying it for so long.
Past years, leading up to this day, your class was for the most part pretty much set. Today, there were guys who were waiting on, guys that you got, guys that you didn't get. There was a little bit like that signing day drama. Does that kind of, in a weird way, show you that you're getting involved with some better players when it's coming down?
Yeah, man, we're recruiting with the big dogs. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, you all across the country, you're watching some kid as he walks up to the podium and trying to figure out, like, can I see the emblem on that hat as he walks in? And that's what we were doing today. And you know, you win some of those, you lose some of those. But you know, that's big time college football, and that's where we are. And so, you know, at the end of the day, you know, whether we get a kid that had no other offers or we get a kid that had 20 other offers, it comes down to, A, is he the right kid? Did we evaluate him the right way? And then B, is he a fit for us? Is he a fit for Temple? And you know, I think we got the right guys.
Let's say the key to winning in college is recruiting. Is Matt Rhule and company now ready to be the winning program?
Yeah, we better. I mean, I think we've recruited really well. We better, because my wife's pregnant again, and I don't want to have to tell. Yeah, I just said that on the news. I didn't even realize I just said it. So she might not. Sorry, Julie. But no, I mean, absolutely. I mean, like I said to our team, man, we went 6-6 last year, and I don't think no one was high fiving. We were proud of the things we did do. I mean, I told our team, you know, I've been the last 5 years I was at Temple, we've been bowl eligible for the last 5 years. There's not a lot of programs. Some programs can say that, but not every program can say that they've been bowl eligible for the last 5 years. Not just me as an assistant or a head coach, but man, I plan on winning at Temple, and I don't want to stay 6-6. And this class marks an offshoot. These kids committed to us. Kareem Ali, who's a feature in this class, he committed to us off a 2-10 record. You know, Kareem didn't commit after the season. He didn't commit after we beat Vanderbilt. We were 2-10. That's all Kareem knew. And Kareem Ali said, you know what, I'm going to Temple because I see what they're building. So now this class, we're taking a 6-6 record, beating a top 25 team, beating, you know, an SEC team, and we're taking that on the road. And then we're hoping that we have a better year next year to finish the class. So I think we're ready to win and win for a long time.
How much do you put on the building on itself? You guys have a good recruiting class, better year now. We built another good recruiting class.
Yeah, I think you know, I always say life's all momentum. You know, you know, one of the things I think was integral and key is as everyone left, even the kids that didn't come here, they said they felt a family atmosphere. And I think what it really was the players, right? It was the kids come in on a recruiting visit, and whether they're with Tyler Matakevich, who's going to be a senior, or Freddie Booth Lloyd, who didn't play as a freshman, they felt that connection. Like, this is a team that's about the right things, that's proud to be at Temple, and that wants to win at a high level and do things the right way. So that momentum from the way the team is carrying itself carries over into recruiting. And then as you recruit better, it's a lot easier to coach, right? And then you just keep feeding off each other. So the thing you don't want to do along the way is lose yourself, where you start not recruiting kids that are a fit for you, that aren't going to fit at Temple. And that was really, I think, the takeaway from our staff today. We really like the players we recruited. We just like them, and that's a major thing. You know, I'm 40 years old and I'm recruiting an 18-year-old kid. If I really like him and he really likes me, we have a chance to do some special things together, just beyond talent. So I think, you know, the momentum is just moving forward, you know, on top of itself.
One quarterback, was that point? Just to get the one, or did you want more?
No, I mean, we signed 2 last year, and so to bring one in as a gray shirt, I think we'll have I think we'll have 4 scholarship quarterbacks going in the spring, which is the first time we've had 4 scholarship quarterbacks here, you know, really who aren't redshirting in a long time. And then we have a tremendous, you know, non-scholarship player in Tim DeGiorgio, who's helped us a bunch. So I think for us, you know, we're just not at the position yet where we could signed multiple quarterbacks 2 years in a row. We're still trying to build the O&D offensive lines and some of the offensive skill. But, Logan's a kid that we offered last year, committed to UConn when we took Frank Newtall, so he went to UConn. The new staff came in at UConn. It didn't work out for whatever reason. We brought him back to camp after his senior year and, ran 4.5 for us, was really athletic. So we offered him the gray shirt. And he actually took part in training camp for us last year. So he was here as we were getting ready for the Vanderbilt game and left right before school. So we have a lot of history with him. We think he's going to be a good player.
How do you translate what you told us, what you tell us every week, into making the city wanting to be a part of this, what you've driven here?
In terms of coming here recruiting-wise or watch us?
Show up at Lincoln Financial, buy a ticket.
Yeah, I think it's a couple, twofold. I think number one, it's winning. At the end of the day, I respect people's money, and I respect having to pay money to go do something. So, I'm not going to ask someone to come pay money to come watch us play and have us not go play well. And so we're trying to do our part by putting something on the field that people want to see, by bringing in good players, by coaching them really well, by having a really good team. And then I think the second thing is just be true to what we're saying, right? I mean, I can't sit here and say that we're going to do things the right way and represent the community. I mean, if I ever put a list for you of the amount of community service that we do, we don't try to advertise everything, but one of the things we want to do is we want to go out and become a part of the city, right? Not just, it's Temple and we're off by ourselves. Like I want the Temple football players, whether it's we're handing out water at the Coleman, Race for the Cure, or whether we're working with kids at, the Aztecs or the Blackhawks football practices. I want people to feel a connection to us. And so I'll tell you, I really believe that that's happening. I mean, I walk through the city. Very rarely do people know who I am. I'm pretty anonymous, right, which is a great thing. But when they do know it, it's usually because they have kids and they bring their kids to our games. And so I really think as those 7, 8, 9-year-old kids that are coming to our games because they want to go to the link and they want to see Stella and they want to see college football, as they just keep getting older and older and older, more and more people are going to be used to coming to watch us play. But the only thing I can control is coaching and recruiting. We have to do a great job. Can I get something off my head? I'm wearing a suit. I'm not used to wearing a suit.
Look back on last season, analyze things. Where did what can this do to help change that? And just what do you have to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we went 6-6, right? So, we lost 3 games at home by a score each game, right? So 3 points to the conference champion Memphis, right, on the last second field goal. 7 points to Navy, a game where we had the ball on the 10-yard line, time ran out. And Cincinnati, where we lost 14-6, turned the ball over in the 4 and missed a field goal or 2. I can't remember what it was. And I probably should have gone for it on 4th down. So, thanks. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Embarrassing. So what do we have to do? I mean, defensively, we look like we're pretty solid. Phil's in there with the defensive staff, right? I told them they could go home at 1. They're in there right now watching, I think, Seahawks cut-ups, trying to get better. So they're going to try to get better, and we have to play better on offense. We were outstanding taking the ball away, but we turned the ball over too much, and we have to be able to run the football. So none of those offensive linemen graduated. I mean, Jacob Quinn, took a job. He wanted to get his life started. But none of the kids that we really played with, graduated. So that offensive line is growing up, and there's still a bunch of young guys out there. And, we tried to go get some running backs, as well as the kids that we have, that we can run the football and become a team that plays great defense and runs the football. So you're not talking about making up 40 points. You're talking about making up 3 points against Memphis, 6 points. And that's the message to the players, is trying to steal a point back every day.
Matt, with Alvin, can you tell me what you like most about him? And also, do you see him as possibly a return man as well on the defense?
Yeah, well, Kareem's extremely fast, and so, even in the U.S. Army All-Star game, I know he was returning, so that's something he'll definitely have an opportunity to show if he can do it or not, and we should have some good competition there. I think the biggest thing about Kareem is he's just, really well coached. I mean, his dad was a great football player. I mean, he has tremendous technique already. He's extremely intelligent. I mean, he picks things up really quickly, and that's that's what I always tell our players, that the difference between college players and NFL players is, guys in the NFL, if you just say something to them, they can kind of do it right away, and that's what Kareem has, that naturally. He can just pick things up and do them, and then he's gifted. He's really, really fast, really quick, explosive. So I think you take a really quick, explosive kid that naturally picks things up, and then he's really intelligent, and you have a chance to have a special player. Yeah. Chappelle's a kid that again, they talk about a guy that had opportunities. He had a lot of opportunities to go to a lot of places. Out of Lakewood, New Jersey, his coach, L.J. Clark's been bringing him to camp for a couple years. So he's a kid that came to camp as a sophomore here. 4'5", 40, 215, 220 pounds. Plays quarterback, plays running back. We're going to start him on defense and play him on defense. But the true definition of sort of a Temple kid, just fits really well with our players, fits really well on campus. Loved it from the minute he came here as a sophomore. And when he committed to us, he never wavered, no matter who came in. So I think he has a chance to be an impact guy on defense. He'll come in and play this year, but we're talking to those kids. We're recruiting him, Deshaun Grimes. We're saying, what are we going to do in 2 years, guys, when Nate D's gone and when Matakevich is gone? Who's going to pick up the torch and run with it? And I think Chappelle has a chance to be that guy.
Matt, who's a guy or two in this class that may not have had the hype of Ali or Simmons, but you really can't wait to see get out there and build?
I think there's a lot of them, and I don't want to single anybody out. But I go back to Rhule Armstead. I mean, I really just, I've seen him with my own eyes, right? Live, I've seen him play. I know he's special. And another South Jersey product is Jeremiah Toki. I mean, he's a kid that came to camp. He's 200 pounds already. He'll play safety. Ran a great time for us. Really intelligent, and I think both of those guys are special guys. I'll say as an aside. Dana Levine was committed to another school, decommitted this past weekend, came here. I think he's a guy we marked, and for special reasons. I kind of talked about, we talked about Philadelphia, and 2016 is a year we want to recruit Philadelphia really well. Sometimes we recruit kids from Philadelphia. We got Dwayne Young, and they want to stay in the city. Sometimes some kids, want to go. Dana's a kid who actually grew up in North Philadelphia. His grandparents still live here. His dad was a detective in Philadelphia, and they moved down to Hollandale, Florida. His dad's a police officer down there. He graduated from there, was going to go to school, another school than us, and came back to Temple. Right? And his parents hadn't seen Temple for several years and came back here and recognized that this was the place for him. So, I think, number one, on our end, anytime someone has been in North Philly, been in our neighborhood and left and wants to come back, we're excited to welcome them back. And I think he's a guy that has a chance to be an impact guy, hopefully, for us. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, I mean, we expect him to. I mean, if he isn't, if he doesn't, then we shouldn't have signed him, and that's our approach with everybody. I mean, I want him to push him. Frank Newtow tore his ACL in camp, but he's out there. I mean, he's working like a dog to get on the field, as is Lenny Williams. So I want to have an open, competitive battle at every position on our team. Always the quarterback as well. Well, I think. I think PJ's already focused. It's like anything else in life. Like you go out there and you play as a freshman, right? And your expectations for a freshman quarterback are probably here, and you're just playing on athleticism. And we dumb the playbook down because you're a freshman. You're just out there just seeing things and playing, and you play up here. And the next year, your expectations are probably where? They're probably way up here. And in your second year, you're trying to do things right in the system. You naturally slow down. The third year is where we expect PJ to take off. At the same time, I mean, what makes you better than competition? What what makes you do such a good job on Twitter? And well, you don't want him, you don't want Zach to get the story before you, right? Because he'll tell you about it. So that's why, I mean, all of us, right? We want to be the best. So that's what I think. We'll see from him. But I want the best guys ready to play.
What about the success you guys have had in Jersey, particularly South Jersey? Is it Fran? Is it Elijah? Is it just relationships? You guys have done really well.
Yeah. Well, I think it starts with Ed Foley. And I think Ed Foley is, the way we recruit is we recruit sort of in waves. And Ed Foley is someone who has developed Temple's reputation all throughout South and Central Jersey, up into North Jersey, right? The high school coaches know Ed. I'm not a Jersey guy. I'm a Pennsylvania guy. So he validates me, right? Everyone knows how Ed Foley's going to handle things, right? And then you bring Francis in, and he's somebody that, like, as you walk through Camden, Pennsauken, everyone kind of knows him, right? He went to high school there. He played there. He's raising his kids there. Now you bring Elijah in, who also grew up in Camden. And so I think, whether it's the kids, coaches, parents, everyone has some sort of a tie to either Coach Foley, Coach Fran, or Elijah, right? So just those relationships, I think, help. And then kids come here and have success. Zaire comes here as a freshman, plays, right? Sean Chandler comes here and starts as a true freshman. And now if I'm Kareem Ali, if I'm Jeremiah Toki, I'm Rhule Armstead, I'm in South Jersey, and I'm saying, well, where do I want to go to school? Well, those guys who I looked up to while they were playing in high school, they validate going to Temple for me. And they say, you know what? This is a big-time place. Just come do what I'm doing. And so, I think it's that momentum's built on top of it. But, you know, I think those 3 coaches that we have recruit South Jersey, you know, relentlessly day in and day out. And it's, you know, was it 7 players from New Jersey we signed this year? I mean, we're reaping the rewards of that.
How has Zaire Williams changed from last year to coming in earlier on this year so far?
He's been great. I mean, so far, even at the end of the year, he's been great. You know, he's healthy. His back's getting healthy. So, you know, we talked about competition. I mean, he's got David Hood in front of him, who last year was really dynamic on the scout team when he was able to play. And I think Zaire's, you know, he's matured and he's a great kid. And he just, you know, all of us, you know, you don't want to know what I was like when I was 18, 19. You know, so you know, he's way more mature than I probably was, and so he's healthy. He's, I think, expecting to go out and have a great season.
With all the depth at running back, do you see the 3 backs that you have coming in competing for carries, or do you got enough there already?
No, I expect them to come in and compete. Yeah, I mean, we want to play with 2 running backs next year. We always want to have a feature back and a complementary back. I don't want to play with 3 backs. I don't want to rotate, you know. And so those guys in our program have had some time to establish themselves. They kind of know what's expected, and the guys coming in know that, you know, they're going to have an opportunity to go show what they can do. So we have enough backs now to find the guy, and that's what we're looking. That's what was the mission of this class, and it's also the mission of what we're doing with the guys on our team.
How do you determine when you're going to show a guy?
Great question. Yeah. You know what we do is we go in and we just assume we're going to play everybody, right? And we just kind of push them to play them, right? And we're trying to get everyone on the field. And then, and really before that first game, we sit there and say, you know, is this guy completely not ready? Because as Coach Paterno used to say, you know, it's better a year too late than to play too short, to play too early. You know, I mean, you don't want to ruin a guy by playing him too early. So if a guy's clearly not ready, we'll just, you know, say, hey, we're going to sit you. But for the rest of those guys, man, we keep trying to get them on the field. And if after 2 or 3, 4 games, it's just not working out, then we'll sit them down and redshirt them. So it takes the pressure off the kid. You know, that gives them a couple more weeks. I mean, it's hard to come in and say, I'm going to learn a system in 2 or 3 weeks of camp and be ready to play. So, you know, we try to give them a couple weeks to, you know, to catch their breath. But, you know, once that happens, once we know we're going to play them, we just play them. And if not, then we'll sit there and have that conversation with them.
Coach, have you ever been in a situation where you recruited more people than you had slots?
Yeah, I mean, I think
And then what do you tell the kid who's like, I want to come to you?
Yeah, I think you just have to kind of, you know, you give people times, right? You sort of say, hey, listen, now, you know, and the NCAA is eliminated over signing now, so it's a little bit harder and easier in that, you know, it used to be you could sign 30 guys and just say the first 25, but now we just try to be honest with people and say, hey, listen, you have a scholarship offer. Once you take it, you have it. But, you know, there's other people we've offered the spot to, and so you don't want to ever feel like you're squeezing somebody or forcing them, but you want to be honest with them in terms of, you know, there's only so many spots for so many players, and so, you know, I think if you just can communicate with people, eventually they figure it out.
You talked a minute ago about guys coming in and having learned the system in 2 or 3 weeks. How much further ahead of the guys that are, you know, in class now that are incoming freshmen are they going to be?
It's night and day. I mean, when you gray shirt, which is kind of what these guys are starting in the spring, it's a real advantage in your career because, you know, you get 15 credits of school before you know, really, you know, 15 credits plus 6 in the summer. You get 21 credits before you even start fall camp. You have a spring ball to slowly digest it. It's much easier than trying to learn it. So I think, you know, it's a real advantage for Kareem to not only learn the scheme but also learn the technique that Fran's teaching, and then for Logan and Will Updegrove as well. For, you know, so they'll be significantly further ahead maybe than the freshmen coming in, but, you know, everyone catches up eventually.
Do you have a favorite, like, anecdotal story from this class? Going to visit
Yeah.
kids' home or something that stands
Well, I'll tell you a great story. And we signed Tyre Wilson. And Tyre's from Perk Valley, but Tyre was actually, you know, he grew up here in North Philly, and then he lives with his mom and stepfather at Perk Valley, and his father lives here in Philadelphia. So I'm an assistant with Al. I guess it would be like, I don't know, my year 2009, 2010, whatever. And Al and I, you might not believe this, we used to go run every single day, right? So we would run down 10th Street, and at 10th and just beyond Cecil B. So what would that be? 10th and there's a playground, right? And at the playground, the guy who runs the playground and a couple guys would be out that work there, you know, with the kids, would be out every day. We'd run by, what's up, fellas, and keep running. Coach Golden, how you doing? Coach Rhule, how you doing? And just run by every day. Well, the one day this guy yells at me and says, hey, my son's going to be playing for you guys someday. And I'm saying, you know, people say that to me a lot. And I said, all right, cool, yeah. And he said, no, seriously, my son's going to be playing for you someday. So I stopped and talked to him. Didn't talk to him again until December of this year when he was on the visit with Tyre and said, you don't remember me, Coach, do you? I said, no, I'm sorry, I don't. He goes, that's Tyre's my son that I told you 6-7 years ago that he was going to play for you. So, you know, you talk about recruiting the city. Sometimes you recruit the city just by going for a jog, which by the looks of what I'm doing right now, I probably need to go do. So, but you know, so I think things like that, you know, are just sometimes things are meant to be, and sometimes there's connections that are meant to, you know, be made. And you know, I'm glad I didn't blow him off 6 years ago, because Tyre's going to be a heck of a player.
What is the strength that you think of this class?
Well, I think the backs. You know, I think I'm excited about the backs, and then I think, you know, I think you can see we continually pour a lot of we're pouring a lot of resources into the offensive and defensive lines. 2 offensive linemen we think are ready to play, and, you know, 4 defensive linemen that, you know, we think have a chance to play. You know, whether it's, you know, Greg Webb, who's the only junior college kid, or the younger kids. I mean, we're trying to build our team on the offensive and defensive line. So I think we're strong in those departments, and I like the backs.
Will Greg have 3 years?
Greg will have 3 years, yes, sir.
Matt, talking to Coach Savio and Coach Warren earlier, we were talking about the running backs. They really want to see how he can catch the ball coming out of the backfield. That's such a big part of your offense. How do these 3 guys catch the ball?
You know, all did that really well. You know, I mean, we had Raquel at camp. The other 2 were just kind of doing it based off of tape, but you know, they're all really good athletes. We have a chance to see Jagger play basketball, so we have a feel for kind of what he does. You know, TJ runs track, so it's a little different. But we, you know, I think they're going to be multi-purpose threats.
Thanks. Couple more.
Greg was highly talented through high school. He's had a pretty interesting journey. Greg Webb to get here. How excited is he to just start playing football again on a big time level?
Well, I think you know, he's a guy that, you know, he's had that same journey, while, you know, Zaire came from the same high school, and, you know, while he's, you know, had some ups and downs in terms of playing, not playing, he's enjoying his time at Temple, right? He loves Temple. He recruits. When people come here, he tells them, hey, this is the greatest place to come. So I think Greg, you know, I mean, he still had a lot of options this year. I thought, you know, why wouldn't I just go somewhere where one of my buddies is having a lot of success, and, you know, where I can trust Coach Fran, Coach Elijah, and Coach Snow with my future. So I think he's just happy to get here and get started once he gets all the work done.
Coach, McManus tweeted something out a few weeks ago when you were recruiting someone for basketball that, you know, you guys saw him come play and
Yeah.
score. What can you learn about a kid when you see him play a sport other than football?
Well, I'll talk about Brandon playing basketball in a minute, but, you know, because you didn't learn anything watching Brandon play. He was playing like CYO basketball in North Penn, and Kevin Gilbride Jr. and myself went and watched him every week and pretending like he was good just to make him like us and come to Temple. But no, I think what you're looking for is kid, you know, who's an athlete, who's a competitor, who has change of direction, who has quickness. Like, you know, we went and saw Chappelle play, and Chappelle doesn't pretend to be a basketball player, but you see the toughness, the competitiveness, you know, who's going to make a play when it's down, who, you know, that's what you're really looking for. So, you know, you find that with a lot of kids, you know, I mean, and that's why I think it's great when kids play multi-sports, you know, they compete all year round. They're not just, you know, kind of training and then playing a small portion of the year. But yeah, B-Mac, you know, we went and told him how good he was, and, you know, enjoyed watching him, and then eventually he signed, and we said, you know, now come kick for us. So.
Speaking of multi-sports, several of your linemen are wrestlers. How does that translate into line play?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, so wrestling is about, you know, balance and leverage, right? And so the way you move people as an offensive lineman is to get vertical leverage, get underneath them, and that's really all they do all the time. So they know how to use their hands, they know how to use their legs, they know how to play with leverage. The second part of it is the balance. They have great balance. It translates to pass pro. And the third thing, and I think this is really important, when a kid plays basketball and they lose, he can kind of look at his teammates like, oh, he shot poorly. He did, you know, when a kid plays baseball, he can say, well, he didn't pitch well. Man, when you wrestle and you walk out on that mat and you lose, there's no one to look at. Like, you have to say, okay, that's on me, and you have to walk off the mat. And that's why we like getting wrestlers, right? They have to go out there and, you know, stand at the center of the mat by themselves, compete, fight when they're tired, and find a way to win. So I think that shows you really a lot, all you need to know about playing in the trenches.
You mentioned briefly about gray shirts, and I was wondering how many of those do you expect the gray shirt this year?
You know, that's a great question. I don't know, because it'll kind of just depend on our current roster, right? So it'll depend on, you know, how, you know, if a guy says, hey, I'm going to hang it up or graduate early. But so I don't know that number right now, but there's a possibility some of those guys could conceivably do that. And some guys will gray shirt not even sign, but we'll say, you know, we find some kids late recruiting that we really like. We say, hey, we'll put you on scholarship next December.
And do you have any walk-ons currently on scholarship, or are you planning on that? Or
In terms, I'm sorry.
walk-ons, are you putting any of them?
I don't usually make that decision till going into the fall. So just the kids that were on scholarship last year. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.